Welcome everybody to John Ski Writes. Today I'm bringing you a video of not necessarily my favourite quotes, but I think there's 7 in total. 7 quotes that remind me of someone, or 7 quotes that when I hear them I am automatically thinking, yeah, that's them. So they're all from books, or they're all book related. So let's just jump straight in with the first one, and that is going to be from, I'm not sure if it's actually in Lord of the Rings books or it's just something I've seen on Lord of the Rings program behind the scenes sort of thing, but it's Tolkien related. So I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings, and that is, it's not the strength of the body, it's the strength of the spirit. Now this reminds me of my granddad, Peterhead. He died a few years back, but he was someone that very much embodied it's not the strength of the body, it's the strength of the spirit. He had angina, diabetes, polio. He had one leg shorter than the other. He walked with a boot and a shoe and a stick on uneven ground. He had angina, 2 heart attacks, 2 strokes. But it didn't matter what the body went through, what medication it had to do to stay okay and ease the pain, the spirit was fantastic. He joked with me about jam donuts, you know, Mars bars, etc. So whenever I hear that, so I've only ever heard that quote twice, but whenever I hear that quote, it reminds me of my granddad. Number 2 then, we're going straight on the family again, and this one's Caitlin, so my wife, and so this could be quite a few people, but very much my wife. She absolutely hates spiders. So from Harry Potter, Chamber of Secrets, Ron Weasley, when he says, "Why does it have to be follow the spiders? Why couldn't it be follow the butterflies?" Very much for Caitlin. It doesn't have to be a spider, sometimes it's just any bug, a moth, even a butterfly itself, which is meant to be rather following them than spiders. She's like, "Oh, get rid of it, oh, get rid of it." So yeah, plain and simple, she hates spiders more than most people I know. I know a lot of people hate spiders, but she's really up there. She can't stand them. She's like, "Oh, get rid of it, kill it, kill it, kill it." So number 2, whenever I hear that or see that, or yeah, not just read it in a book, but when I see it in the films, or just hear anyone talking about spiders, reminds me of Caitlin. Now, number 3 is my children. That's not the quote. The quote reminds me of my children. And again, it's from Harry Potter. This time it's Prisoner of Azkaban. And I'm pretty sure most people, if you're a parent, this relates to your children as well. But for me personally, whenever I hear this, and I have read this book a lot, and I have seen this film a lot, but I came from the book originally. So it is when Fred and George give Harry the Marauders map, and they say, "I solemnly swear I am up to no good." That's my children to a cue. They're out of the eyesight, they're up to no good. I solemnly swear they are up to no good. Out of earshot, they're very quiet. They're up to no good. So yeah, number 3, I solemnly swear I am up to no good. Logan and Layla, my children. Number 4, some of my favourite books when I was a kid, reading it at school, was the BFG. And Roald Dahl had a lot of books. And I think this one is actually from the BFG. But I love Roald Dahl books in general. And this quote is, and let me get it right, 1 second, let me just quickly get it right. "The giant had some sort of magic in his legs." Now, this quote reminds me of Swaz, my good buddy Swaz, because he is the opposite of a giant, like I said. He is tiny. However, he's a great dancer. Fantastic dancer. He's in a Bollywood band. He was in a hip-hop group or something, dancer at university. He's a fantastic dancer, loves to move, and he has literally got magic in those legs, magic in that body. So although it does say the giant has magic in his legs, Swaz is a giant of a man, even though his stature is tiny. But yeah, that always reminds me of Swaz. Number 5 and number 6 are 2 more of my friends. Number 5 is Jonesy. Now, he actually said this to me a few times years ago. He was late meeting me, or we were late going somewhere because he was holding us up. And I was like, "Jonesy, we're late." From Gandalf in Fellowship of the Ring, I believe. And he says, "A wizard is never early nor late, or late nor early. A wizard arrives exactly when he means to." And Jonesy said it to me all the time. I'd be like, "Jonesy, you're late," or "Jonesy, we're late." And he would say, "I'm not late, I arrive when I mean to." So whenever I hear that quote, or whenever I'm running late, generally now, I just think, yeah, Jonesy, he's a wizard. He's Gandalf, even though I'm the one with the beard. Number 6 is Brett Smith. And number 6, Brett Smith's quote comes from the fantastic Mr. Fox. Now, Brett Smith's always asking me for advice, and it's not just me. He asks other people for advice as well. I know he asks Pete a lot of the time for advice on different things: football, women, games, life in general, right? Which is strange because he had the life advice on my channel. Pete always asks me for advice, but he never listens to the advice. You give him advice and he always does the opposite. And I've got a few people I know that are like that. They ask for advice, they do the opposite. But Dave's been asking me for advice now for 15, 16, 17-ish years. And he always asks for advice and doesn't listen. And this is the quote: "I understand what you're saying and your comments are valuable. However, I'm basically going to choose to ignore it. I'm going to ignore my advice. Why ask for it in the first place?" But that is Dave, fantastic Mr. Fox. He asks for your advice, and then no matter how valuable and how good he admits it is, he just ignores it and does the complete opposite anyway. Number 7 then is the last one today. These are in no particular order, but number 7 is Isabelle, my niece by marriage, Caitlin's niece. She's 10 years old now, so this quote is kind of slightly off, but this reminds me of her. And it's from a book I read earlier. That wasn't earlier this year, it was last year. It's a book I read last year called Room by Emma Donoghue. Fantastic book. It's the favourite book I read last year. I absolutely loved it. Recommend it to anyone if you're just looking for something different to read, or if it's just in your wheelhouse. It's fantastic. And the quote is this, and it reminds me of Isabelle so much, and that is: "When I was a little kid, I thought like a little kid. But now I'm 5, I know everything." Isabelle to a T. If you know Isabelle, you've met Isabelle, you know Isabelle is that phrase, in my opinion, because she thinks she knows everything. And not in a big-headed, egotistical Sheldon Cooper, Big Bang Theory kind of way, just everything. If you say something, she will challenge you with another question. She thinks she's a preteen. She thinks she knows everything. In a good way, she's amazing. I've never met any child or any adult that challenges you, but any child that just challenges you, asks the questions. She'll ask you something, she knows the answer, you'll get it wrong or you'll guess it and she'll be like, "Nope, this is the answer." She just knows far too much. She knows more than most adults. She is fantastically bright. But yeah, this reminds me of Isabelle. And who was it that said it? Oh, it was the boy. Obviously it was the boy, not the mum, because it was about a 5-year-old. But yes, and Isabelle, number 7, you remind me of this quote when I read it in the book last year and thinking about it again now. And it's very simple. When I was a kid, I thought like a kid. But now I'm 5, or in Isabelle's case, 10, I know everything. That's all I've got for you today then. If you've got any quotes that remind you of people, or just your favourite quotes in general from books, pop them down below in the comment section at the bottom of the video. Please do put a like on it if you did enjoy the video, and obviously subscribe if you haven't. I've actually been unsubscribed to a few YouTube channels recently that I didn't mean to. YouTube just unsubscribed me, so check you are subscribed, and if you're not, click the subscribe button, ring the bell. But yeah, I might do another one of these again in the future, but that's it for me today. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you soon.